Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Meena every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, hit the like button, share with friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today, we're joined by a very special guest called Shivali Miglani. Welcome, Shivali.
Thank you, ma'am. So nice to
Yeah.
be here.
So let me just tell you a little bit about her. Shivali is a Vedic environmentalist and is connected with Deshi cows for Better Indian Trust. She is also the founder of Temple Panchakavya. Cowism, she works in a field of education, media and training gaushalas and rebranding them into becoming center for environment conservation by making farm inputs and planned holistic grazing. Now, Temple Panchakavya project has been launched to convert temple offerings to temple treasure for soil health and biodiversity. Now, friends, I know Shivali for quite some time. She's also a friend, and also I've seen her not only in work related to the looking of cows, but many other things. She's a very talented lady and very special to me. So I was just wondering, how we could introduce the qualities of a cow and also talk about gaushalas, how important they are. So I was just wondering, who I should invite, in the first instance. And Shivali's name came. And thank you so much, Shivali, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, ma'am.
Yeah.
You have been an inspiration for so many years, and now I feel I have done something to deserve to come on your channel. So, so much.
Yeah. So do tell us at the moment what you're working on, then we can. This is just a candid conversation where we just take on one thing after the other. And do tell us, see, you could also talk about touch points where, for a long time, our country has ignored the fact that, see, Deshi cows are very important for us. And we were getting Jersey cows into the country, which was a very bad decision. So just tell us first about what you do, and then we can move on to these points.
Yes. So my journey started in this field in 2014 when I attended a Gurukulam, and that's where I learned about what a cow is, and it exposed me to various facets of cow management as well as the benefits that we as humans derive from that. So it could be for, I call it HEAL. So the cows are the center for HEAL, acronymed as health, environment, agriculture, and lifestyle. So the basis of all of this is the desi cow. And so that's when we started the trust in 2014. And thereafter, we went on to run a company called A2 Naturals, where we were making 40 different kinds of products, all made with the desi cow's panchagavya.
Yeah. In fact, some of the products I've used and they were really good.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. But the vision of the trust was a little bigger. So we decided to kind of focus on soil and agriculture because that is where the maximum utilization of the cow is, and where what is needed. Because our soil is in the state that everybody knows. It's dying at a very fast rate. The organic carbon that was at 3% at the time of independence today is at less than 0.5. Of course, there was a huge campaign on Save Soil, but we started the soil rejuvenation campaign much earlier in 2018, and we distributed like a tanker full of goodness, which is basically the microbial culture made from the cow dung and so on, in various parts. And we have been associated with a lot of afforestation projects. And of course, terrace gardeners have been using our panchagavya and so on for many years. But then I thought, again, I don't want to be just restricting myself to my sales and my company. The idea was to reach out. And so I always thought, what can I do to make a bigger impact? And so that is when the idea of Temple Panchagavya came about. In fact, I would say it is because of the blessings of Mahadev that I recently visited.
So, in fact, here, let me just interject. See, Simone wants to know, beautiful name Shivali, is your name something to do with Mahadev? what Shivali means. Sorry for this question. I'm curious.
Right. It's actually quite amazing because I remember I was in class ninth or something, and I was just sitting in my chemistry lab, and somebody just passed me a chit, a following a classmate, and she
Yeah,
said, do you know what your name means? It means
yeah.
nature. So,
Huh.
since then I have been like, of course, one meaning is that Shivali is the consort of Lord Shiva, that is Parvati
Yes,
herself.
yes.
But that meaning of of me getting associated that, okay, I'm meant to do something for nature,
Yeah,
that seed was
absolutely.
sown at that young age, and
Mm.
I've been working since then on this, you can say.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, coming back to Temple Panchagavya, it basically aims, see, Panchagavya, what it is, essentially, Panch is five, Gavya is what we get from the cows, right? It is the most potent compound mentioned in all our scriptures, be it Ayurveda or even otherwise, in many of our Puranas and so on. Um, in fact, some temples in Tamil Nadu, they actually still distribute Panchagavya as prasadam, right? So then I thought that when something that has so much of potency to heal our soil, it's a microbial culture, it's a growth promoter, it adds micronutrients in the soil which are so depleted. So with so many advantages, and then I correlated that exactly the offerings what we are making in the temples, be it milk, curd, ghee, honey, or jaggery, and bananas and tender coconut, all of these are the components of Panchagavya, right? So when that realization came about, I was like, the only missing link is the Nandi, because Nandi is not actually in stone, it's a representation in stone.
yeah,
But it needs to come alive and give its gobar and gomutra, because those are the
yeah,
only two things missing for the Panchagavya.
yeah, yeah,
So that's when this project started, and it has received, I mean, it's at a nascent stage, but even then the kind of support I'm getting all over the country, it's just phenomenal. um, Teams have automatically been set up in 5 states, and they're all working to implement it in a temple near them. So yeah, on that front, this is what has been happening
yeah.
regarding
So
my milk
here,
trust.
yeah, let me just ask you a question. See, I basically, friends, I did not know about the difference in the milk that we have that we buy when, for example, we buy Nandini milk and other, other forms of milk. But it was only after I met Shivali, and her whole family is involved in it. So I'm very proud of this family because right from her mother, who's a doctor, and also her sisters are involved. Her sister is also involved in it, and it's from them that I realized that there is another form of milk which comes from our desi cow, which is A2 milk, and it is much more healthy, and we never get sick if we drink that milk. It has got so many nutrients to it. Whereas when you take milk from a Jersey cow, these cows are injected with antibiotics because they become sick very often, and these antibiotics are passed on to into our bloodstream. So perhaps you could speak about that, Shivali.
You described it perfectly, ma'am. So there are two main breeds across the world. They can be classified as Bos indicus, which is found in the tropics, especially in India and the African subcontinent, and the other is Bos taurus, which is found in the temperate zones. So the ones that are from India, that is Bos indicus, is more hardy and disease resistant. It is, of course, adapted to our climate, so it falls sick less often. But in the greed for getting more milk, instead of improving our breeds, improving the Nandis that had been neglected for so long, during the Operation Flood, they got in the Jersey and the HF cows, and they crossbred them with the Indian cows, which led to, yes, definitely an increase in milk production, but the quality of milk really fell down. And we also see that that is because, like you pointed out, the foreign cows are more sick, they're not adapted to the Indian climate and Indian fodder and geography and so on, so they have to be pumped with antibiotics. And so the quality of the milk is much poor. Of course, the A1 and A2 milk is now clearly distinguished all over the world. A2 milk is supposed to be more healthier, There is a book written called Devil in the Milk, which exposes how BCM7, which is found in A1 type of milk, can cause a lot of harm, including autism, and heart diseases, diabetes. And today, as we see in India, a lot of people are lactose intolerant. That was something that was never existing in India before. So all these problems have come in after these cows were introduced. And of course, because we lost the practice of ethical milking and ethical and grazing, basically. So, in fact, I draw my inspiration from a lot of scriptures, and in one of the shastras, it is clearly said that milk drawn forcefully from a cow by separating the cow and the calf will lead to and innumerable, and another word that they use is innumerable and incurable diseases.
Okay.
And we are seeing that. I was listening to a professor from Cornell who has found out that milk, especially the casein, the protein that is found in milk called casein, is actually responsible for a lot of cancers today. So we have to be extremely careful about the milk that we choose, right? It should be not only from a desi cow, it should be definitely ethical milking should take
Yeah,
place.
absolutely.
Because the cow feels the stress, right? And the
Yes.
same is passed on to her through her milk. So she
Yes.
has to be in a happy environment, eating biodiverse green fodder. She should be allowed to graze. She should be allowed to see the sun, be with the calf.
Yeah.
In fact,
In fact,
she.
here, I'll just make a small mention of what you said. What you said is so important. When we were going for these satsangs with Swami Nityananda, he was saying that if you eat beef or you eat mutton, you know, the pain that these animals feel, are passed on to you. And you can imagine the kind of havoc it creates in your system because you're eating something that is violently died, and all that biological thing is conveyed to your body, and that's the same thing that you feel. So brilliantly put, Shivali. Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, beef is, not just according to Hindus. In fact, now world over, the United Nations and who not speaks about how it is the most environmentally damaging meat. It takes 16,000 liters of
Yes.
water to make 1 kg of beef, compared to rice, which we know that has so much of water consumption, takes only 800,
Yeah.
means 20 times water consumption. Similarly, land use, similarly, so much of destruction is being caused. Amazon is being burned down because people want to translate that land, that forest area, into grazing pastures. So we're going wrong on many fronts, but again, the correction is to come back to what our Vedas and what our scriptures say, that we
Absolutely.
have to rear the cow very, very carefully.
Yeah.
And the Bhagavad Gita talks about cow protection in many
Yes.
of its verses. What is cow protection? We should understand. Who do we have to protect the cow? From
Yeah.
lions and tigers? Not at all. The cow has to be protected from the human tendency of exploitation, because
Yes.
we slip up so often. uh, we tend to exploit. So we have to milk the cow, but we have to take care of her as well, right?
Yes.
So those things have to be in order.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, Shivali, you remember when we met last time? There was a person who'd come in from America with a book saying that, see, he was in the last stage of cancer and he had almost given up. And then someone suggested that he try, this treatment of all the, gunas that you get from the cow. And he came down south and he tried it and he improved a lot. So, could you tell people about this experience as well? Because you've been doing so much to promote, the cows, well-being and all to us. Yes.
Yes. So he's a friend, and his name is Amit Vaidya. He wrote a book called Holy Cancer: How a Cow Saved My Life. It's basically a memoir, as you say, about his journey, how he came back from US, how first of all he lost his mother to cancer, and when there was no hope left for him in the US, despite spending millions of dollars, he realized that something which is so organic, something like living with the cow, eating food that is grown naturally, could heal him. So he gave it a shot, and it actually helped him a lot. And he's cancer free for many, many years now. So his journey, basically, he used to prepare fresh panchagavya every day and consume, and of course, other medicines of Ayurveda combined with that. So then, I have delved deeper in this subject of panchagavya and cancer. In fact, I've attended a lot of seminars. I'm not a doctor myself, but I've interacted with a lot of doctors, like the one that you see in the photo. She's Dr. Nandini.
Okay.
She works in Maharashtra, Nagpur. So she has been treating a lot of patients, who are suffering from cancer using panchagavya.
Okay.
And see, the thing is, chemotherapy, right? It actually causes neutropenia, which is
Yeah.
basically your white blood cells in the blood reduce, which reduces your immunity, because it's like giving poison to counter, the toxicity, the cancer toxicity in your body. But it doesn't know how to distinguish, so
Yeah.
it kind of just destroys your immune system and the healthy cells also. Now, what does Charak say? What does our Ayurveda say about this? So, when I spoke to Dr. Patankar, he's a cancer oncologist, Ayurvedic oncologist. So, he said, these systems have existed even in Ayurveda of giving chemotherapy. They would use, poison from a snake to give that as as a
Antidote.
remedy. But before that, they would give about half a liter of panchagavya ghee.
Okay.
Okay, so it kind of tells the body what needs to be protected, what needs to be exposed to the poison. So it's a beautiful system in Ayurveda, so, and not just about cancer. Panchagavya, grit, and other forms of panchagavya is established scientifically, modern, with modern research, as well as in the traditional Ayurvedic text, for all sorts of mental illnesses like apasmar, epilepsy, schizophrenia, and even jaundice, and so liver related issues. Some people say ghee causes a lot of weight gain, but actually it balances out the weight. So in a number of cases, it is useful, the panchagavya ghee.
See,
In
once,
fact,
also, Shivali, see, I think people have to first of all get rid of their, thoughts when it comes to cow's products. For example, when you say gobar, you think that it's something dirty. It's not. People use it for their houses in villages. People use it for, purifying so many things, and also use it for cooking and everything. So, first of all, their mindset has to change. You can't think of gomutra, which is goak, as something repulsive. No, even raw urine is not used. It's distilled and it's purified before you get it in a bottle, and you don't even feel sense the smell at all. So these are things that people have to be educated on, because see, it's your health after all. If you want to care about your body, you have to educate yourself and not allow others to educate you. So try to find out more about all this. Yes,
absolutely.
Shivani.
I mean, if you look at there are enough number of scientific studies, but like you said, people have this inhibitions,
Yes.
right? Cow urine is already established that it is a bioenhancer, means
Yes.
it makes bioavailable, like all
Yes.
the whatever medicine you want to have. It has so many antimicrobial activities. It is
Yeah.
anti-diabetic, antioxidant. So many advantages are there. But how do you get rid of that inhibition? So
Yes.
there is something called Sanjeevani Ras that has been made, which is a deodorized version of Gomutra, which is
Yes.
also getting extremely popular because they use natural methods of purification and just give you as true to as possible. Otherwise, you can take fresh Gomutra, that's best. But if
Yeah.
you don't have access to it, there are options like Sanjeevani Ras and all that you can take.
Yeah.
Talking about Gomutra, talking about cow dung,
Yeah.
it's like we all have this deficiency of B12 today. It's like a epidemic. Everybody is suffering from that. Did you know the maximum amount of B12 is found in cow dung? And as per a scientific study in Switzerland, they said by adding 10 grams of cow dung per kg of soil, the B12 content in barley, in spinach, in so many things uh, increased naturally to double or to triple. So, what we have to do is essentially, even if you can't consume it directly, you can definitely take it through the manure, the Panchagavya manure, that we are promoting in the Temple Panchagavya project. Apply it in soil and eat the food that is enriched in soil that is grown
So
with
how do you get
Panchagavya.
it? In which sort of format do you get that?
So, you're asking about the Panchagavya
Manure,
made.
the manure, yeah.
So it's a liquid that is to be diluted with water and
Yes,
3% ratio, and it can be
yes.
added to any crop, any
Yeah.
even in your terrace garden, everywhere as a
Okay.
foliar. Means it can be sprayed or it can be
Mhm.
applied on soil also.
Yeah.
So once you enrich the soil, right, you get all the
Mhm.
micronutrients. You get
Mhm.
zinc, iron, whatever is deficient in our body is
Mhm.
because it is deficient in the soil.
Yeah.
So they say, it is easier to treat sick soil
Mhm.
than treat sick people.
Yeah.
So it's better you treat sick soil with
Mhm.
Panchagavya
Yeah.
than treating people, who are falling sick because of lack of micronutrients that are
Tell me
not
something,
available.
Shivali. See, when you say this, does it mean that, see, you don't need any other sort of nutrients for plants? This will take care of everything, or this is just one of the substitutes?
No. So that's the thing, I'm working with Dr. Loganand and so many other scientists, and including Dr. Devendra Sharma, who recently posted about my video on Panchagavya as a miraculous manure. That is the word he used. For a scientist of his stature to use the word miraculous for soil and for our crops, it just speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And, it is, I'll tell you why it works so good. Of course, we are putting in the best of ingredients. I mean, imagine putting milk, curd, and ghee and all that into the soil. Like, it cannot be better than that. But the critical thing is, it has all the microbes that do all the work for you.
Yeah.
So we say the system is
Yeah.
Purnamidam. But, because we have added chemicals and we have destroyed the soil microbial life, they are not able to process what is available in the soil that is not available for plants to uptake. So this
Okay.
panchagavya manure adds the microbes who will do all the work. They will absorb nitrogen from the air. They will make the phosphorus available for plants. They will do everything. So instead of adding azotobacter separately, lactobacilli separately, which is being sold in the market and farmers have to pay separately for each of
Yeah.
these bacteria, this is like all the bacteria.
Yeah.
Hundreds of stains of bacteria is present in Panchagavya. So you don't need anything more than this. But
Yeah.
yes, you need to add a farmyard manure or make the soil a little aerated and porous before you can add this Panchagavya for it to work more effectively.
Yeah. And I also remember, this cancer patient had spoken about how when he was undergoing treatment, he would have to carry the fresh cow dung in the morning, and then apply it to all his whole body, and then lie in the sun for it to take, effect. So, I mean, these are things that are amazing. I mean, we never heard of it. Nobody's been talking about it. It's been there for ages in India, and we've never heard of it. And so these are things that people need to know, that why do you go for all this chemotherapy and all that when you have home cures like this? Yes, Shivali.
Absolutely. Yes. So, in fact, recently I posted a video also how cow dung is so anti-radiation, right? So, if you apply a little chip that is made with cow dung on your phone, you're preventing a lot of extra electromagnetic radiation that we are constantly exposed to because of our cell phones and so on. So, like that, when you apply it on your body and, like you said, lie down in the sun, it kind of really energizes your whole system. And again, it's the connection with the microbes, with the light.
Yes.
Today foreigners are talking about grounding, and I was trying to do that the other day, and I couldn't find good soil to walk upon. I mean, how deficient have we become as a civilization to not
Yes.
have
Yes.
basics in place?
Our own soil to work on.
We don't have good soil, we don't have a patch of grass.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that's the difference between foreign countries and India. The
yeah.
most difference I find there, you will not find even an inch of bare soil.
Yes,
Here, we
yes,
don't find an inch of grass.
yes.
So we that has to change. So even if you can't plant trees, I would say, um, plant grasslands,
Mm,
just spread the native grasses, especially in
mm,
the rainy season. Whoever eats, goats eat it, cows eat, somebody's stomach is getting filled up,
mm,
and it is protecting your soil. Soil should never be naked.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nisha
Yeah.
is saying that, see, she's based in Dubai. So she said, because I don't get panchagavya here, I've made lactobacillus at home or plants. So
Yes.
Nisha is a green finger. As a green finger, she's been having a beautiful garden in Dubai, and she's planning to shift to India, to Coimbatore, and plans to do it here as well. So she was avidly waiting for to hear you speak. Please continue,
Oh,
Shivali.
yes. So, lactobacilli is just one component of panchagavya, which gives a lot more. So, but yes, if you don't have access to the other four gavyas other than curd, then you have to depend on, this one itself, lactobacilli. Of course, there is Gokrupa which you can also take and take the culture and then multiply it using the curd and a little bit of jaggery. That's all it requires. So that has about 60 stains of bacteria, not just lactobacilli. So you can, do a lot more in your garden if you bring inputs, and mind you, the Gokrupamrit, it is made from Panchagavya of the Desi cow itself.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. So Neelam
exactly.
says our body is made of panchatattva. Surely Panchagavya will have positive effects on the body.
She nailed it.
So
I would say
yes,
she absolutely nailed it because,
yeah,
see, we are made up of Panchamahabhutas, right? And the five Panchagavyas can be associated with each of the five Panchamahabhutas. For example, the cow dung is associated with the earth element, ghee is associated with the fire element,
yes,
milk is associated with the water element, gomutra with the air element, and curd or buttermilk is associated with the ether element.
yeah,
Even in Ayurveda, it corroborates the same thing. For example, pitta problems
yeah,
can be overcome with ghee based
mm,
problems, ghee
yeah,
based solutions. Even the gomutra, what we have, it cures the vata,
mm,
so we compare it with the air element. So, like
yes.
that, it can be definitely corroborated.
Dr. Shreya Shri says, hello Shivali, do pesticides affect the effectiveness of Panchagavya on plants?
So, Panchagavya itself is a natural biopest repellent. You will not need, see, when the soil is healthy, right? No pests are attacking. I'll give you a small example. When you bring in fruits in your house, do any flies come immediately? No, right? Those fruit flies, they take time to come, right? So when something is rotting or deteriorating, that is when the insects come. That is when the pests, because they don't want us to eat the rotten things. We think
Mm,
pests are our enemies.
mm,
Actually, nobody is our enemy. No, not a weed, not a pest. Pests are the cleaners of this world. So they are also needed. What we think is, oh, they are destroying our crops, so we should destroy them. But our Vedic culture doesn't say that. You should not kill. That's the first thing, right? So that's why Panchagavya nourishes the soil and also builds immunity in the plant. So automatically pests will not come in your plant. And
yeah,
even if they do, you can spray foliar, the Panchagavya, and it kind of gets rid of pest
absolutely.
issues.
Maya saying, Aditya Satsangi of Sathology channel says he has cows on his lawn grazing freely. Autistic kids come, hug the cows, and have shown a lot of improvement. He's based in San Diego.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Mayaji. This is absolutely true. It's called cow hugging, or something that we have been always practicing called go seva. In fact, so many autistic people with ADHD and a lot of mental issues, when they come close to a cow, it heals them because it reduces the stress levels.
Mhm.
And we have seen that on Amavasya day, a lot of people have this practice of going to the gaushalas. Just
Yes.
think about it. Amavasya is a day when we tend to get most mentally disturbed. It's a proven
Yes.
thing across the world. And our ancestors were so wise. They
Yes.
said, okay, on this day you should go to
Mm.
Goshala, because that's where you
Mm.
will find solace. And the
Soothing.
same thing is being implemented as koi kanufelen in Dutch, in Norway, in Australia, America, like you mentioned, everywhere. And we Indians are lagging behind there. So yes, please do take part in cow hugging. And it's extremely therapeutic.
Spurna is saying girls who drink Jersey cow's milk menstruate by the age of as young as 6.
Very true. So, milk is released because of a hormonal thing in the cow's body, right? So, we have to make sure, like I said, that the cow is healthy, happy, freely grazing. And, sometimes I pity, these Jersey cows also, because, see, it's our mistake that they are here in India.
Yes,
It's not
absolutely.
that they appeared,
Mm.
it's our, so we cannot be harsh with them, but
Mm.
we have to let them do their function of grazing.
Mm.
See, a cow's main function is grazing, utility is milk.
Mm.
When, see, we're talking about save soil and all of these campaigns, how will you and I save soil? Do we have the power to save soil? Not really. We can only manage grasslands, manage lands with the help of animals. So all these Jersey cows and all, if they are also allowed to freely graze, as per planned grazing has to be done, then we see even they don't have to be given hormones, even they are happy, so they also have a better life. But definitely milk of desi cows is undoubtedly better, but we have, because we have made the mistake, we have to kind of be humane to them as well.
Yes. Also, Shivali, you would have noted that see, there's a huge sort of mission to degrade Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma through various methods. It's through many methods, whether it's movies or music or drama or whatever. So earlier in Kerala, people didn't, Muslims would not eat beef. They were used to eating mutton. But a stage came when the jihadis started, attacking Hindus, and that's when the consumption of beef started, and the fashion, it started becoming very fashionable, and they made festivals of, eating beef public to say that see everybody enjoys beef, and there's nothing wrong in Hindus having beef. But actually, it's like you eating your mother because a cow has the status of a mother, and she's providing you everything and not taking anything from you. She's like a coconut tree. There are lots of things that give you and do not take anything back from you, and a cow is an example of that. So this has been happening all over India, where our cows are smuggled, hacked, sometimes from high terraces they are put down, pushed down. I mean, all sorts of abuse has been done to our cows. What do you think about that, Shivari? And is there any movement being done to protect these cows?
Yes. So, it is just, I would say, ignorance, because the cow is same for everybody, irrespective of the religion. And while I do know people, who are working for cows, being a Muslim and being a Christian, and I also know a lot of Hindus who sell cows, right? So there are good and bad on both the sides. But we as individuals need to raise our consciousness to understand what it is doing for us. And it's not just the panchakavya that she gives us, that is the utility of the cow. We cannot exist without her, because you know the way our soil is dying, the way the whole environment is, the climate change, all the problems that we face today, be it hunger, desertification, water shortages, all of them can be overcome if we just let the cows and the nature do its function, right?
Absolutely.
So it is irrespective of religion, she is for one and all, right? Now, Of course, some NGOs and governments are working for providing a safe and better environment for cows who meet with accidents and who are put to cruelty, etc. But definitely, this education system is where things need to change. So I take a lot of classes with children, right? Because that's where I feel the change can
Change can
happen.
come about. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm invited to even Christian schools to talk
Mm.
because my topic, while I serve cows, but my topic is usually how to reverse climate change with animal impact, how
Yeah.
to save soil with animal impact.
Mm.
And that is when I tell them, look at Lord Sri Krishna. He was grazing the cows for 12 long years,
Mm.
setting an example of how to let the whole ecosystem processes happen with the help of cow and grazing. So that is the importance. Um,
Could you
I've
explain,
understood.
Shivali? Could you explain this
Yes,
image on the right? A little bit about that, if you have any idea about that.
absolutely. So this is exactly what I was talking about. It's funny that you put these two up. So on the left
Yeah.
side, you
Actually,
see.
Jaydev is busy at the back supporting you.
Thanks, Jaydev.
Yes.
You're doing a great job. So on the left side, you see Krishna, and on the right side, you see Shiva.
Yeah.
If you just understand what our gods are trying to tell us, it solves practically all the problems of at least the bigger ecological problems that we are
Yeah.
facing today. See, on Krishna's side, he is
Yes.
talking about cow grazing, which is also in the modern parlance known as regenerative farming or holistic grazing based on the
Yes.
Alan Savory's model. He is generating more than 25 million hectares all over the world. He has prevented them from getting desertified just by using Lord Sri Krishna's model of grazing. And if you look on the right side, this is Lord Shiva's model, where the community has to come together and
Yeah.
offer the best of milk, curd, ghee to the Shivling. And
Yes.
using that, if you are able to convert it into panchakavya, which is
Yes.
using the Nandi's Gobar and Gomutra, which is sitting right in front of Lord Shiva, you get the best manure, which can, I call it manure. It is actually even for humans, but my focus is on soil and
Yeah.
the environment. So I talk about from that perspective. It has the potential for saving our planet. So while we see Lord Shiva is somebody, who needs to be activated at the time of great destruction. And that is the time that we are facing today with 52% of our soils degraded and with so many thousands of species getting extinct every year. So Lord Shiva's model is what we need to activate right
Absolutely.
now,
Absolutely. So, could you
which
also explain one more thing here, Shivali? Why is it that in front of every Shiva temple, facing the Lord Shiva, you have a cow,
Nandi.
Nandi, the Nandi?
Yes, absolutely. So, Nandi is the symbol of fertility, right? He carries the seed of future progeny of the cows. In fact, it has been a tradition in temples to have the best breeding bull. All the jallikattu and all that we see. Why was it done to select the best breeding bull
Yes.
essentially? And that used to be given to the temple, and all the cows in the vicinity would make use of that. And that
Yeah.
bull used to be treated like a king. He
Yes.
could walk into any farms anywhere, and nobody would stop him from eating whatever he likes.
Yes.
So that's the kind of treatment. So a Nandi is definitely a reminder for a conservation of the breed, how important it is. The gopuram is also having the shape of the horns right at the top, and the kalasha used to have the grains, the seeds conserved in cow dung ash. So cow is an integral part of the temple,
Yeah.
but we have kind of just thrown it out and
Yeah.
not really connected with it. But
Yes.
definitely, the Temple Panchagavya project, the main aim is this only, to bring the real Nandi back into the temples for making
Yeah.
Panchagavya and for breed conservation. And because 23 breeds have declined in the last
Yeah.
census alone, I'm talking about. 23 breeds population has declined. Many have declined by 90-95% in 5 years. You can imagine. If we go on at this rate, many of the breeds will be extinct in no
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, in Brazil, they say that they are using only Indian cows because they find them the most efficient in everything. So
Yeah.
other countries have taken our knowledge and benefited out of it. We are still struggling to preserve them.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah. So also, Shivani Terasi, I follow this handle called Kamadhenu, on Twitter, and they keep constantly telling me, "Ma'am, please help us. We need donations. So if you could mention it. And I keep forwarding it to all my friends, and there's been a huge response, as in contributing to this. So I believe there are a lot of gaushalas which are doing active work in this, Shivani, in India.
Yes, yes. I mean, see, I will say, gaushalas are a stopgap arrangement. They are meant for those cows which are actually sick and which are not able to go for grazing. That was how the concept of gaushala came about since time immemorial. But today, because they are left on the streets, because the owners don't understand the real function of a cow, they
Yeah.
only look at the cow for its utility of milk. Therefore,
Yes.
it is left, once it stops giving milk. So that's when, they go on to the gaushalas.
Yeah.
But this is not a sustainable model because, on one hand, I'll give you a small example. In
Yes.
a gaushala, typically a cow who is not giving milk, it costs somewhere between 15 to 20 rupees
Yeah.
to make 1 kg of cow dung. Means that is the kind of fodder expenses. If you calculate the cost of cow dung for a non-milking cow, it is 15 to 20 rupees per kg. And what does it get sold for? Almost zero or 1 rupee
Yes.
something. So who is bearing this loss? It's the society.
Yeah.
On one hand, it is losing wealth. On the other, we have to do the effort of taking this gobar, and gomutra is anyways lost, nobody is collecting it,
Yeah.
and putting it back to the fields, which really does not happen. So when the cows were naturally grazing, they were doing everything. They were
Yeah.
fertilizing the soil,
Yes.
they were making the land porous, and there was no problem of, I mean, soil was actually getting better with every grazing, you know. So goshalas always need to have lands attached to them. Only
Yes.
then it will be sustainable. Just relying on donations is not going to work in the very long run. Or
Yeah.
they have to make a lot of products out of the gobar and the gomutra and milk at all if they have. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they have to become sustainable either through having access to lands or through utilizing the gavyas to make something and give it back to the society. So that's the
Yeah.
only sustainable way.
Yeah. Also, tell us about when the brand Krishnaya Chetty used you for this shoot that they did for the calendar. Could you tell us about this experience and how they selected you, Shivani?
Right. So, I have been very vocal about cows, and I used to
Yeah.
go meet a lot of people, and they have supported this cause actually from a very long time. In fact, they donated a cow as well many years ago, and since then they know me. That cow was donated to a farmer. So now that's the thing about Godan. A lot of people come to me that they want to give cows, and I suggest to them, while it is mentioned that Brahmins should be given the cows, but in today's day and age, many Brahmins don't have the land or the
Yeah.
capacity
Yeah.
take
To look
care of
after
a
them.
cow and then to make ghee and then to do the havan. I mean, that's the function of a cow for a Brahmin, right?
Yeah.
To get the ghee for doing the havan. But in absence of that, you can donate it to a farmer who wants to do natural farming,
Yeah.
right? Cannot afford. So that was one of the farmers who they supported, and since
Yeah.
then they have kind of associated with me because I helped them get the right farmer
Yeah.
and so on. So then they approached me last year, to do this shoot. It was a nice experience because
It's a
My mom,
beautiful, yeah, it's a beautiful shoot. Yeah.
yeah, my mom always wanted me to be a model, but I was never interested. So this was,
You have all the looks of a model, Shivali, and also a beautiful heart.
thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So what you're doing is immensely, it's immensely not only useful. You're educating everybody in the process, because I myself learned a lot from what you and your family are doing, and I felt that, see, this could be an important part in our channel where we keep talking about it so that people realize that they should not take even milk for granted, that even milk has got poisonous qualities, and certain milk is really good for you. Could you talk about this cownomics? Shivali, I think you have lost you. I'll just wait for her to join again, friends. Just give me
Sorry,
a
ma'am.
minute.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
lost it.
yeah, yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit more about cownomics?
Yeah, so it's a book that is written by my friend. Her name is Aarti Agarwal. Of course, many people know her because she appears on TV shows and she's working a lot for the Indic causes.
Yeah,
So this was a book that was written by her, and yeah, I've just been promoting it, and because it talks very deeply about why beef was abhorred in Indian culture
yeah,
and what are
yeah.
the various economic aspects of rearing a cow. Yes.
Yeah. And also tell us a bit about your mother, who is a doctor. And I think she's the one who's inspired you both, both you and your sister into this.
Absolutely. I think you have a picture of her. Jaideep, you can put it
Yeah,
on.
please, Jaydeep, show her mother,
Let's
because she's
see
the one
how
who's
well
inspired not only her children, but all of us as well. Yeah. So
oh,
she is an
please.
Ayurvedic doctor, isn't she, Shivali?
Well, she has studied Ayurveda in depth. She's not only studied Ayurveda, she's also studied astrology and all. I mean, so many scriptures. It's really amazing, how at every step, I just have to call her and ask her anything, and she will give, references of certain everything. And I mean, she's just amazing.
Yeah. Was she there in
So
some of the images that we showed before?
she's there in the image, which was the poster image. But I
Okay.
think,
Okay, Jaydeep, can you just pull that back so that we can show it? Yeah, please
yes,
continue. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, she has always, given me the vision to pursue my dreams, be it in social service. And it's like she's never asked, well, she made me study in London School of Economics, and she paid for
Yes.
my parents paid for the fees, which was quite
Yeah.
exorbitant. But they never
Yes.
really looked at it from a monetary perspective. They said that they have given me all the comforts in life, but
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
always thought that because my parents have worked so hard, I might as well do something meaningful,
Yeah. Yeah.
otherwise what's the point if I am also running in the rat race despite
Yeah.
having the
Yeah.
support system. So that's where I'm so grateful to her and even to my dad to let me just be and let me do what I love to do and supported me at every step of the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I'm not sure whether he
There's
gets.
one more thing I want to mention about her,
Please,
which is
surely. Yeah.
very special.
Yeah.
Till this day and age, she can afford anything, right? But she chooses to wash clothes in a automatic washing
Yeah.
machine. Why does she do that? Because she has found out that a fully automatic washing machine would use 3 to 4
Yes.
times more
Yeah. That's
water.
her. That's her
you know
mother.
that's she cares about the environment so much
Yeah.
that even if it's so chilly and cold, she would squeeze the clothes with her own hands,
Yeah.
to kind of save water. So that's the kind of seed that she has put in us
Yeah.
to do
Absolutely.
everything
Is that your
once.
father, Shivan?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So these are her parents and her sister. She has a sister, Radhika, and you also have a brother, don't you?
yes, yes. And
Yeah.
all of us are so different. My brother is into supercars.
Yeah.
From childhood, he has loved cars. And my
Yeah.
sister always wanted to join dad in his business. So we three are so different, and yet,
Meet each other.
supported us so much.
Yeah, yeah. So, in case these people anybody wants to connect with you, Shivali, you can give us the details, which I can post below for in the chat. And thank you so much, Shivali, for this wonderful chat and for educating our people and making them understand how important it is. And okay, Karthik has he says how to buy the products.
I don't sell anything, but yes, I do have a very
Uh,
limited stock of
he's
ghee.
talking about
So
perhaps manure.
the manure. So I would say you would tie up with a temple near your house and get it free of cost from the temple.
Oh, they have it, is it? Oh,
So that's the idea, right? That temple panchakavya gets implemented in every, at least Shiva temple. They
yeah,
bring in the Nandi and they start utilizing the offerings that are going down the drain as of
yeah,
now into making panchakavya. So we
yes,
provide training for that, how to do it, and all of that. We provide the label, the testing of the panchakavya, everything the trust is doing.
yes,
But the initiation has to be from your side. Once you understand how important Panchagavya and cows are, this is the best way to save our
yeah,
breeds and bringing the Nandi back into the temple
yeah,
and making Panchagavya for
yeah.
everybody.
In fact, my mother was saying that, see, my brother, he has got a green finger. So in Kerala, he plants a lot of these dwarf trees, and they're all yielding very good, fruit because he's putting cow dung into them. And in the same way that you said, one third of it with water and done, in a very scientific manner. And he says
Yes,
it's working magic, you know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
So thank you, Shivali, and we'll see you again soon because these are topics that need to be discussed very often for people to really, make sure that our cows are protected. You know.
Thank you
So
so much for
thank,
having me. I'm really appreciated. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.
thank you, and my regards
Thank
to your family.
you.
Yes, Jenny, with the background. Thank you, and good night, Shivali.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night, ma'am.